Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining Succession Plus and our launch of our business valuation tool. For those that don't know me or do know me, my name is Amrita Abbott. I've been working alongside with Craig for the last 15 years and recently sold my business almost 12 months ago to public listed company Class Limited for $25 million. The reason why that's important is because I've had Succession Plus partner with me and help me grow my business to where it needed to be in order to get the valuation that we did receive. So coming together post my departure with Now Infinity, Craig and I wanted to create, and the rest of the team, create a tool that actually helps accountants and advisors provide 225 compliant business reports, valuation reports for the client. What we've done from here, we've actually integrated it with Xero's financial data, and the special purpose valuation report it's around about 15 pages long and outlines the valuation methodology and scope as required by the standards. In my experience as a business owner, you can require valuation for estate planning, business disputes, capital gains, family law and so forth, but for me it was all about how can I actually drive my business to the best value that I can get or the best sale price I could get. And by going through this and working closely with them, I knew at that time that I could actually change the way that the business was operating or running, or the direction of which way I was going, to maximise that value, and that's extremely important. I think one other thing that you'll see today is that, and also one of the myths, is that your business is only as good as what someone wants to pay for. This is very untrue. You can actually make it very valuable as long as you follow the guidelines. But your first and foremost is your starting point, and that's the valuation tool that we've created for you. Again, it's connected to Xero, and we'll look to expand that out to other accounting software solutions that can help you facilitate that process. But before we continue, I'd like to introduce you to Craig West, who is the CEO and founder of Succession Plus. Craig, welcome, and over to you.
Thanks, Amrita. And hi, everyone. It's great to be here today showing you our new business valuation tool. I'm going to give you a little bit of a demonstration, but before I do that, I just wanted to give you a bit of an introduction, a bit of an overview as to why we developed this tool, and a little bit of background around how it works and why I think it's a really interesting model to use for accounting firms to change the way that you're treating business valuations for your clients. Having a background in accounting, I understand that you do need to do business valuations, and often they're an outsourced, time-consuming, expensive process. I think what we've built today will show you that it can actually be a revenue centre for your firm. A little bit of background first. My business, Succession Plus, founded in 2009. We are the largest consulting firm in Australia, working with mid-market mainly, business owners, baby boomers typically, though not always, heading towards some kind of exit. As Amrita said, we work with clients closely to help them achieve their exit outcomes, whether that's maximising value or passing it on to their children or setting up an employee share plan, etc. Whatever the exit strategy is, we have a 21-step process that works towards that. We're based in Sydney and we've got 23 advisors nationally, and I'll come back to that in a moment because it's quite an important point. We've valued more than 700 businesses over the last 12 years, so we've got a real understanding of this marketplace and what it looks like and how it particularly works. Valuations are really important for accounting firms. Obviously, you get asked to do business valuations for a whole stack of reasons, whether that's family law, whether it's a partnership dispute, and sometimes it's just a business owner interested to find out what is my business worth and what might I be able to do with it. Importantly, as you'll see when I walk you through the process, some of the discussion you need to have, some of the questions you need to ask, some of the conversations that you need to prompt with clients are actually quite an important advice tool in and of themselves. It's quite useful to actually get clients to think about some of the key things within their business. What are the key risks? What are the key operational areas? Why is the business so dependent on me? How do we automate or systemize our marketing and sales process so it doesn't have to rely on the owner? All those things, whilst they're all feeding important data into our valuation tool, they're also great conversations for accountants and advisors to have with their clients. We're changing the model here. We're making this quite a disruptive move. I think it's been quite difficult to see over the years how complicated it can be, how expensive it can be, how long it can take to get a business valued. And I think technology has gradually improved over time. We've worked very closely with Xero to develop a tool where you can no longer need to go and input and add back and work out all those difficult things that you have to do manually, where you can use the data within Xero to automatically populate the financial data within our tool, answer a few risk-related questions and operational questions, and come up with a valuation. I'm going to do one live for you in just a moment and show you, but you'll see it can easily be done in less than 20 minutes. And under our subscription model, which will come in play in June, it should cost you as little as about $100 a month to do them, depending on how many you do. Now, in my experience, having both completed valuations and also ordered them for clients over the years, they can cost anywhere from $3,000 to $30,000, depending on the size of the business, how many entities we're talking about, and really the purpose is the key cost driver, actually. If it's a valuation for an estate planning dispute that's already in court, it's going to be far more expensive than a valuation for a business owner who's just thinking about whether he could or should sell his business. In terms of your practice and how you can deliver this service for clients, I think there's a couple of things. Firstly, I've already mentioned we've got an integrated data feed with Xero, so the data entry and the collection of the financial information is not difficult, and I'll show you exactly how it works in a moment. Firstly, rather than outsourcing these or sending them off somewhere and paying for them and incurring sort of substantial disbursements, you can now in-house prepare these valuations quite effectively, quite efficiently, still charge clients for the amount that they would normally pay to get a valuation, but it's being done in-house by your staff using our technology. As I said, less than 20 minutes. So it's literally something you could do face-to-face with a client where they talk through the questions with you, you answer them live on the screen, you go to their Xero file, in comes the data, and you can produce the report, print it out, look at it on the screen, and go through it with your client in real time. You can determine what you charge. There's no price model here. I've said before, you know, these valuations typically anywhere from $3,000 to $30,000. They're expensive, depending on what you want to do and how you want to charge for that. I also think this is a really good leader into a lot of other potential work that you could do with your client over a period of time. Now, we've had quite a few firms also say to us, that sounds great, but I'm really busy. I haven't got time for that. Can you just do it for me? And that's the reason I mentioned before, we've got 23 Succession Plus advisors. They've all been with me for quite some time. They all know our model, they know our valuation tool, and they know how the business sort of valuation process should work. We're quite happy to work closely with you, and we do that with a number of firms already around the country. To deliver these types of services for your clients. If you're too busy doing what you normally do, and I understand that's an issue for lots of firms, then we're happy to come in and help. Just let me know. Now, let's talk about the actual tool. The way that the tool works, it's an online tool. We'll access it via our website. I'll show you that in 5 minutes. And then you can go in. It asks you to access the Xero file. You provide the login and secure access. Our tool then goes into the Xero file and takes the data across, and then we can just populate the valuation. Now, if your client doesn't use Xero, you can still manually enter the data. We're actually building version 2 already, starting to improve based on suggestions from users that have already passed through to us, saying, can we have a simple Excel template where we could import the financial data from MyOb or QuickBooks or lots of other different accounting applications? And the answer is you can't do that today, but you will be able to do that very soon. And when I say very soon, I'm talking June. You'll be able to do that so that you can get that information. More importantly and significantly, I think, is we're also adding in that version 2 release benchmarking reports. So you'll be able to compare your client's financial data with industry averages and their competitors, to show them whether they're over or underperforming, where there's areas where they might be able to save money, or even sometimes where they're, you know, for example, not spending anywhere near enough money on marketing and therefore not growing their business fast enough. That's also a really interesting conversation to have with clients. And of course, it's driven by exactly the same data that drives the valuation. And then secondly, a risk assessment report, which actually uses the questions that we use to populate our algorithm to work out the multiple when we do a valuation, to tell business owners what are the key areas of risk within their business. Where are they actually susceptible to, you know, disruption, or where might they have an operational risk, or where might we see some market risk? So let's have a look now. I'm going to move across to a live demonstration, and we're going to actually have a look at how the valuation tool works and how you use it. So I'm just going to change screens for a second, and let's have a look at exactly what it looks like in terms of the live demonstration. Okay, so I've changed across now to a blank screen. That is actually the homepage of our website. So you should be able to see our website homepage there. If you click on the button on the left there, what is my business worth? You'll see that the valuation tool opens up. And as I said in the introduction, you've got the option to complete a manual valuation if you're not using Xero. But if you are using Xero, you simply connect to Xero for my results. And you'll see now that the system is logging into the Xero accounting system. It'll ask me in a second for my login details, which I've just done. I've now logged into Xero. It'll then ask me to select which of my clients I need to prepare a valuation for. So I'm going to just drop down and pick up a dummy client file that we use for training and examples like this called Smith Engineering. And I'm going to click on the button at the bottom that says allow access for 30 minutes. That will now authorize Xero to allow the valuation tool to access that data. I'm now retrieving the data from Xero for that particular client, Smith Engineering, across into my system. And you'll see in a second that'll populate and then come up with the next steps that we need to undertake. We're retrieving typically 3 to 4 years financial data, and people have asked actually whether we can change that, whether we can only take in 2 or whether we can take in 4, or we can modify that, but that'll happen in version 2 of the tool. You'll see now that the data has actually come across from Xero, so it's a relatively fast process. I now need to fill out the business overview. So I'm going to say that I'm an accountant for this firm. I'm going to type in my firm's name. Whoops, if I can spell it properly. I'm going to type in my mobile number if there's queries or a question from the report. The reason for my valuation, in this case, I'm going to say that we're thinking about selling the business. You could also say that it's for an estate valuation, for taxation, etc. I think I mentioned before the report is APS 225 compliant, so you can use it, for example, for a CGT restructure. This company is a fabricated metal product manufacturer. We've got 3 owners here. Our floor space is 450 square metres, and we've got 8 full-time employees. Once we filled out that overview data, we click on next step, and you'll start to see our risk assessment sliders or tool. This is where we get asked questions about business and ownership. In this example, we're going to say that the business has been operating for a long time. We've also been the owners for a long time. We've had some fairly consistent growth. Unfortunately, the owners do work more than 50 hours a week. Customers deal with the business. The business has been consistently profitable, and it could keep going without the owners. I'm going to say no to that one because that's often an issue with small to medium businesses. Then we move into marketing and competition. We're going to talk about, yes, our market offers new opportunities. No, there's a fair bit of competitive rivalry. It is a hard business for competitors to get into because it's expensive to buy the equipment. Substitute products are a bit of a threat. Our market's not really growing because of offshore manufacturing. We don't need to advertise, that's fairly true. We've got a lot of key and repeat customers, and our website does generate good business sales for us. Then we move into regulatory and legal, not a big issue for this particular business. We're going to leave that and say, well, look, there's little chance of legal action, I guess. We're manufacturing, nursery products and sheet metal shelves and stands and things for pots. So we're probably unlikely to get a lot of legal action. It's possible, but unlikely. Plant and equipment is up to date. This is our operational questionnaire now. So we're looking at our plant and equipment up to date. We've got a wide range of suppliers. We don't have a lot of bad debts. We've got some really good employees. We run good training programs. We don't need a lot of working capital now. We've got more good management systems. I'm going to say our business processes aren't very well documented. Cash flow is not really a problem, and we can increase, and we do increase our prices annually. So that's the operational questions. Then we're going to get into the location. We've got a very good location for what we do. We've been here a long time and we can stay here for a long time. We don't just operate in our local area because our website provides lots of sales all around the country, and in fact some even overseas. So that's the location question, and that's the end of the operational and risk sort of assessment. Now we've already got the Xero data in the file, so we come up with a financial summary screen, and this summary screen then shows us a summary version of the P&L. So we've gone and extracted this data from Xero and brought it into this summary screen. We've then got our balance sheet summary again. Now this is a dummy client, so these numbers are obviously not real, and you'll see that things like interest are the same amount pretty much every year, but you get the idea as to how that works. We've then got our add back schedule. Sorry, that's our balance sheet there. I'm showing you the profit and loss twice. Then we get to an important part of the business valuation. We've got an add back schedule. Now, the reason we have this is in most private companies, as you will all know, business owners very rarely correctly separate personal expenses and business expenses. So sometimes we see excess vehicle costs. We might have a spouse vehicle in this particular entity that we pay for. We pay for the service and everything else, but it's not a real ongoing business expense. So we're going to add that back. We might also have some excess rent. We might own the building in a self-managed super fund, or we might have excess rent because we store our boat and caravan and some household junk in an extra storage utility. So we'll put, an extra amount in there for rent. We've got an extraordinary or one-off expense. We actually had a large law dispute, legal case, went to court. We spent nearly $100,000 on legal fees this year, and that won't be recurring, let's hope. We've also got then the add back around employee costs for the directors or owners, and that's a big issue for most privately held businesses as well. What we're acknowledging here is that most privately held business owners don't pay themselves an exact market salary. Some are under, some are over. That's okay. What we need to do is adjust that here. So what we're going to say is that our directors here actually earn, let's say, $175,000, but to employ a business manager to manage this business would actually cost $150,000 on the open market. Now, what we've done there is work out all of the add backs and adjustments to make our profit and loss what we call normalised, to make sure we've got a normalised profit and loss without any unusual or one-off factors distorting that amount. Now that's worked out the add backs for us. The actual add back amount is $140,200, and it's adjusted our net operating profit as a result of that. Now, once we click on next step, the system will go away and actually prepare the VAT. Now it's already done that, so it's been fairly quick and efficient. We've got an estimated multiple up here. We've got a goodwill value, a fair market equity value, and a net asset value. And those are all key numbers in terms of our valuation on the screen. I won't play the video, it's just me telling you about the valuation and how it's been calculated. Down the bottom here, though, you'll see a couple of things, and this report's actually already been generated, so it's occurred quite quickly in the background. If we click on the green download report button, you'll see we've now downloaded a PDF file, and I'll just open that up on the screen so that you can still see it. This is the private valuation report that the system produces. So as I said, it's compliant with APS 225, which means you can use it for partnership disputes, family law valuations, ATO if you're doing a corporate restructure or CGT restructure, etc. And certainly more than good enough to use to have a very good discussion with clients about the business, the valuation, and what some of the key value drivers are. I won't read through every page of this, obviously. It gives you a bit of a capability statement around the report and how it's being prepared, the market value considerations, a summary of the key aspects. Who are we valuing? What type of business is it? What industry? Why are we valuing it? We're looking to sell a business share or a share in the business, and who's done the valuation. Now, that'll be you and your firm sitting there. A bit of background, sources of information, your requirements, what you're looking to do. This is all required under the standards, disclaimer and independence of the valuer, that we're not acting for you in any other capacity. Also our approach to valuation and the methodology that we use, a bit of an explanation around the various valuation methodologies and which methodology we have chosen to use in your particular valuation and how that actually works. Then we get into a couple of pages, just a summary of the financial data that you input, where we can see the P&L and balance sheet, and then the valuation summary itself, which actually gives you the key numbers in terms of business valuation. So as you can see, fairly quick and easy process. And, that probably took us, 10 minutes to complete that valuation. Some will take a little bit longer. That was actually quite quick at generating the report. I expected to wait a little bit longer than that, but happily sometimes that does happen and it occurs quite quickly. So as you can see, it's fairly simple process. Questions with your client around operations and legal and location and marketing and sales and so on. Getting the financials is the easy bit. Sitting down and doing the add backs, working out where they've got personal expenses or unusual one-off non-recurring type costs is an important part, and then the report itself.